Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. I just had a little bit of fun with the thumbnail. Before you come on, it asks you to smile for the camera because it's going to take a picture for the thumbnail. And I thought I need to. It's so serious. I've got a hair on my glasses. It's so serious that every time it does it, I think, oh no, now I have to sit here and have to try and make a face for the camera. So I'm looking the way I'm supposed to look for the camera. And that is just, hey Hickman, how you going? Sorry, I have a hair on my face and I'm trying to get it away because it's driving me balmy. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Joanne, how are you going? I'm really well, thank you. How are you? I thought I had a good night's sleep last night. I felt like I had a good night's sleep. However, my Fitbit tells me I didn't have such a good night's sleep, but I feel fabulous. So I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and doing what you need to be doing to stay safe and to stay healthy. It's really a most amazing time to be in lockdown because we have obviously all these mediums here that we can transmit, talk to people. We have our mobile phones. We have all those beautiful social medias. Hey, Sherry, how you going? Finally, you got me. And we are really lucky that we can keep in touch with everybody. My daughter, I have 7 grandchildren, so my children always put photos and videos up of the grandchildren so I can see how they're all going. My son is actually still working, as is his partner, so they're still quite busy. And my other daughter, who's at home with 4 children, posts videos all the time for me to see how the children are doing, which is absolutely beautiful. And happy Easter to you too, Cherie. So I get to at least sort of stay in touch with the world. And the other thing that's really beautiful, I have a good friend from, I haven't really looked at the day, the last 2 days. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's blue sky and sunshine. We should all be out barbecuing, but anyway, that's a different story, isn't it? So I get to keep in touch with everybody, but I have a very good friend in England, actually a couple of good friends in England that I have known since I was a child. So I'm hearing what's going on over there at the moment, and in other parts of the world, obviously I have friends and people I know. So it's really nice that I can keep in touch with everybody. Of course, it bears sometimes the brunt of not such good news, but for the most part, the actual keeping in touch with people is absolutely beautiful. Now, I wanted to have a look. I didn't know what to do for you this morning, and I think the person who asked me, it's overcast in Wisconsin in the USA. So please send the sunshine across because it's absolutely beautiful here. But there's a wicked, horrible thing that happens in Australia, which I want to share with you. Sometimes you look out your window, the sun is shining, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. And you walk outside and it's absolutely freezing. A lot of people get caught with that because you go out on a really sunny day and people are running around in strapless tops and it's absolutely bitterly cold and deserves wearing a cardigan. At the moment, the mornings and nights are starting to get a bit chilly, but the days are still quite warm in the sunshine, but it's still absolutely glorious to look at. So I haven't had a chance to get out yet, but I'll move soon. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at Dr. Dyer's Your Sacred Self today. Hey Gigi, how you going? Happy Easter to you too. So I'm taking a little bit out of this book today. And I know that Spirit has talked a lot lately about releasing old beliefs, closing out cycles, letting go of our old ideas about ourselves and who we should be. And it's come through a lot in the readings and a lot through the messages I've been receiving as well. Sometimes it's really hard for us to understand what they are. And I never want anybody to put too much pressure on yourself, but be an observer, like watch what you're saying sometimes and how you're saying it, just to understand how you treat yourself. Yeah, it is a spring cleaning. It definitely is. So when I picked up this Okay, when I picked up this book, there were a couple of things that really sort of resounded with me. And I just looked down and he's used a Mark Twain saying here, which I think is really cool. And it says, one of the most striking differences between a cat and a lie is that the cat has only 9 lives. So I thought that was really cool because that's how you do it. You see, if you're told something when you're young, you adopt it as being truth. And sometimes, of course, it's not true. So this is a time to start thinking about how we can look at what we believe and understand it may not serve us anymore to believe that particular thing. And he says here, my past is nothing more than the trail that I have left behind. What drives my life today is the energy that I generate in my present moments. And I wanted to just read a little bit of a paragraph from what he's written here. So just bear with me for a moment. It is now time to begin the task of reorganizing, recognizing and releasing beliefs and opinions that do not fit into your new agreement with reality. Take a look at some of those ingrained beliefs and shift them out of your consciousness. Your personal history is replete with beliefs. These beliefs are at the core of your understanding of what it is that constitutes your reality. You have used them to explain why your life has taken the course it has. Resolve to remove those that are inconsistent with the new agreement with reality that you're creating. And this is where we are at the moment, trying to understand especially with things the way they are at the moment, because perhaps we never thought we would find ourselves in this situation. Who would have thought that the world would have been locked down, the whole world? Everybody has been made equal here. I want to read this paragraph here. Pleasure or pain are aspects of the mind only. Our essential nature is happiness. But we have forgotten the self and imagine that the body or the mind is the self. It is that wrong identity that gives rise to misery. What is to be done? This mental tendency is very ancient and it has continued for innumerable past births. Hence it has grown strong. That must go before the essential nature happiness asserts itself. So what in effect he's saying here is that we are living the lives that our parents taught us and their parents taught them and probably has come through. It is a time of internal review. It is a spring cleaning, Sherry. It's so true. I think that a lot of us just accept that it's life and we just roll with it. So, you think of those things you were told as a child that still impact you now, some of those things that may have been quite negative or your beliefs. And I always use poverty consciousness as a great example for this because, your parents would have done that all the time to you. We were very poor. And I was often told things like, we can't afford things, we can't have things, you can't have money, we don't have enough, money doesn't grow on trees, who do you think we are, Rockefeller? We heard all those things when we were kids that made us grow up thinking that we were limited in what we could do. And that's just one example. There are probably thousands of examples that probably apply to you as well. So sorting through that at the moment is coming through all the time in the cards about really understanding who you truly are at the core of you, because a lot of that's been covered up by those things that have been installed in you and then become your ego. So your ego is your preservation side. The ego has definitely a role to play. Maybe you may use your ego as a way of sort of, hey, Valentina, how are you going? Happy Easter to you too. Maybe for some of the ego, it's good self-protection, it's preservation, it's, keeping yourself safe. And some of us, of course, have, a slightly different way of presenting ourselves in different ways. Hey, Diana. So when you're out with your friends, you might swear like a truck driver. When you're with your grandmother, you may not do that because it's going to offend and hurt her. And that is your ego at work. That's okay. That's stuff you have to work with. But when you're in denial of how you truly feel about something, or how your world really looks to you, then you're denying yourself a lot of pleasure, and you're limiting yourself from what you are truly capable of, which is so much greater than what you think you are. So starting with the understanding of living in the moment, accepting that self, accepting the fact that not everything you've told, good morning, my darling, how are you? Accepting yourself for who you truly are, but it's also about understanding. And I think the best way of doing that is by, as I said, and I will promote 1,001 times, is by being an observer in your own life. Watch how you talk, watch how you say things, watch how other people talk, watch how they say things, watch what hurts your feelings. And when something hurts you or aggravates you or irritates you, good morning, Joanne, how are you going? Nice to see you on here. Um, Sometimes you have to stop when things affect you and understand that that is your intuition is telling you you're hurt about something. So let's say, for example, somebody says something that stings. And in that moment, you feel very, very hurt, and you walk away and you immerse yourself in the emotions. You feel hurt, you overanalyze, you overeat those emotions, and then you start throwing on top of them all of the things that have been said, maybe about that particular thing, but all of those things about yourself that you have grown to believe. So when somebody says something that hurts your feelings or aggravates you or irritates you, instead go away and ask yourself, why did that hurt me? Why in that moment did I feel that particular thing? Why is it that I'm reacting or responding? And then, did you? Of course you do. You're so in tune with me, it blows me out. And ask yourself why you're responding. Ask yourself, what is it about this particular situation that you need to learn from, but also why are you responding to that? So if somebody said something negative that's hurt your feelings, is that statement true for you? Is it something that you really want to take on board? So move your emotions aside and ask, because your intuition is telling you it doesn't feel right. So you need to understand, why doesn't it feel right, without using all the emotions. So this has been something I've learned to do, and it's difficult sometimes. So, for example, when I get in the car, and this is the one time, that's right, not from the emotional place, coming from an observing place, I always get angry at other drivers. It's been something that I've always done. So, how do you put your emotions aside? By asking yourself, why do you feel that way and what is it? Rather than going straight into the emotion of it all and allowing all of your previous beliefs to dump on you as well. Let me just talk about the car thing, because I think that might put it into perspective. So whenever I got in my car, I think, well, I'm a really good driver. I've been driving for a long time. I'm a great driver. It's one thing I think I really do well. Okay, so when I get in a car, I expect everybody on the road to be the same as me. I expect people to be courteous. I expect people to be polite. I expect people to follow the rules. What are the rules there for if you're not following the rules? So first off, not everybody respects rules, and I can't control that. I can't control that. And that is what I'm trying to control. I'm trying to control people's perspectives. Am I going to be able to do that? No. So I have to respect that when I go out into the world, everybody's going to have their own locus of control. Everybody's going to have their own understanding how things need to be. They are going to cheat and lie and make way for themselves because they only see themselves as important. And that's fine. That's their way of being. For me, that used to drive me up the wall. Why aren't you using an indicator? Why aren't you telling me which way to go? Why are you yelling and screaming at me when I don't think I've done anything wrong? So I'd come home so aggravated from driving places, from people who would not do the things they were supposed to do. That's control. That has been a big lesson, that control. So now when I get in the car and I see people doing the wrong thing, I acknowledge, I see it, I don't ignore it. I see it, but then I ask myself, what is it about that situation that makes me feel angry? What is it that I'm doing to respond to that? And that is where you have to leave your emotion behind. Just try it for a little while. Do it for just maybe a day. Just listen to what I'm saying. Be really conscious, be in your moment, and listen to what is happening around you. Take it on board and ask yourself, why is that affecting me in the way it's affecting me? Because that will give you a little understanding of how you dump all your old beliefs onto that. Being in control is something we can't do. And this whole world thing at the moment is showing us that you cannot control things. The government hasn't been able to control it to a certain point. They can certainly take, steps to keep everything in place. They can ask you to social distance, but it's still up to the individual on how they work with that. The government cannot control it completely. So you cannot control. You can certainly have power, you can certainly have choice. But at the end of the day, if you've made the choice and taken the power to go and have a day at the beach and it pours with rain, control is just not something you can do. So it's allowing yourself to just live as you need to. Be the observer. You got it. We are all learning this, Joanne. You are so true. And it has been something that's come through in the readings for me and for personal readings and through messages for me for such a long time. Understanding you cannot control. You can try to control an outcome. But at the end of the day, you can visualize 1,000 outcomes and you may never, ever predict the way it's going to come out. So therefore, you have to trust. And the first place to start understanding that is how we respond and we react. And our internal sense of control is so powerful because of what we've been taught through our childhood. So just remember that when you start reacting, yes, it is definitely a spiritual awakening. And Let It Go is a really good one. I hear that in my head all the time, that song, that kid's song. Because sometimes it just gnaws at you, and you have to stop and go, why am I feeling this way? Why am I beating myself up? Why am I so angry about this? And you've got to recognize that too. Because for many years, I was saying to people, I don't get angry. I don't get angry. I never get angry. And that was because as a child, I was taught anger wasn't attractive. You have to put it away. You have to dump it. You shouldn't be doing that. Instead of being taught that anger's natural and you just need to, of course, there are some things that you can control, Isa. I agree with you completely. And suppressing it is not good. And that's what I've learned, Cherie. I started to stop and think when I got angry, I'd just do this automatic thing where I'd go, why am I angry? Why am I so upset? What is wrong with me? I'm flawed. And then one day I went, you know what? It's okay for me to feel angry. It's okay for me to respond. But how I respond and how I deal with that anger is not by suppressing it. It's by saying, I feel angry in this moment. What can I do about the anger? How do I manage the anger? And as I said in the car, it was about me saying, okay, not everybody is going to do what I think they should do. And that sense of control was draining. I'd go to work. There would be people who wouldn't do their job the same as other people. Then I'd get upset because people were getting, dumped on that were doing their job and other people weren't. Out of my control. Some things are within your control. And it is okay to say no, Cherie. But how many times in childhood were you told if someone asked you to do something and they had more power than you, that you had to bow down and say yes? That's actually quite a religious perspective too, because if you were raised in a family where there was a lot of religion, very often it was about putting your own needs and desires on hold for everybody else. So you're so right. And I really will say that, Pucci, it's difficult to change a feeling, but you can change the response. This takes discipline, exactly what I'm discussing. It is about discipline, but it's more about stopping for that moment and just asking yourself, why am I reacting? Why am I responding? Look at yourself. Stop. This doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong. It doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't warranted, but how is it affecting you? Because those beliefs you carry with you affect you. And to become, full stop, a better person at what you're doing, a much more relaxed person, a person who can live in the moment, a person who can learn to put themselves first, you have to stop and ask yourself, why is it affecting me this way? I'm off. It's been a great discussion today. Thank you very much for joining me. And I love that you all input. It's so important. So it's really nice at the moment because I don't have too many people on board that I can acknowledge and see you all. But have a go at it. Let me know how you go. Like, pop it on here next time I come on and talk to me about what you've experienced and how you see that. Because I think it is something that I've learned. This isn't something I'm, brilliantly good at. I'm a human being like all of you. All of my learnings, all of my background have all been part of my journey too. So, if you want to know anything, or you want to join in and ask, or you want to ask other people, at the moment, everybody who's coming on board is just as dedicated to this journey as you are. So please, if you feel that you want to ask something, or put in your ideas of what you're doing, then I am more than happy to learn from you guys too, because that's what I do. So don't think that you're just all here to learn from each other. I learn just as much. Hey, Moonstone, how you going? And I will see you tomorrow. Take care, look after yourselves, and love yourselves wholly and completely. Mwah.